In 1851, the French Egyptologist Auguste Marriott approached a formidable tower of boulders, prepared to detonate them with explosives. Yet he unexpectedly uncovered an extraordinary subterranean labyrinth dating back over 3 millennia. In this video, we will delve into the fascinating realm of ancient mysteries and archaeological marvels as we unveil the captivating story of this distinguished Egyptologist who chanced upon a set of enigmatic boxes buried deep beneath the Egyptian sands. Before we dive into our story, please ensure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates. Now let's begin. Among the 25 monument boxes, one fell victim to tomb raiders, leaving a lingering question. What purpose did these intricate boxes serve, considering the immense effort put into crafting them by the Egyptians? Marriott's journey to Egypt commenced in 1850, but his initial mission to collect manuscripts did not unfold as planned.
His lack of experience in this endeavor was the primary cause of his setback. However, Marriott was determined not to return to France empty-handed. Instead, he embarked on a quest for an alternative prize that would earn him the same level of respect in his homeland. The Bedouin tribes led Marriott to a remarkable treasure that would etch his name in history. This vast site turned out to be the necropolis of the city, the burial grounds of Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt. Saqqara, in particular, housed several of Egypt's most illustrious structures. However, when Marriott was guided to the site by the hospitable Bedouins, he found it rather underwhelming. All he could see was a desolate desert landscape, marked only by sand dunes. It was only after a while that he spotted the head of a sphinx rising above the ground, and according to legend, this statue had once been part of a grand assembly of 600 such sculptures, illuminated by LEDs.
It is believed to be the Serapeum of Saqqara. Marriott understandably saw the value in locating this ancient structure and embarked on his quest not far from the Pyramid of Jose. He followed an imaginary line of statues that led him to what might have been the entrance to the Serapeum. Marriott's interest in the Serapeum may have been piqued after reading the 1882 book Lesser Opium to Memphis by the Greek historian Strabo. In this book, Strabo mentioned Saqqara's Serapeum and the surrounding area. Strabo described a temple to Cerberus in a sandy location where the wind would pile up sand dunes, concealing some sphinxes, some partially buried, and others buried up to their heads. This description suggested that reaching the temple could be perilous during sudden windstorms. Marriott, even though he had enlisted 30 local men for the task, still needed a dedicated team of workers. Upon identifying what he believed to be the entrance to the Serapeum,
Marriott's interest in the Serapeum may have been piqued after reading the 1882 book Lesser Opium to Memphis by the Greek historian Strabo. In this book, Strabo mentioned Saqqara's Serapeum and the surrounding area. Strabo described a temple to Cerberus in a sandy location where the wind would pile up sand dunes, concealing some sphinxes, some partially buried, and others buried up to their heads. This description suggested that reaching the temple could be perilous during sudden windstorms. Marriott, even though he had enlisted 30 local men for the task, still needed a dedicated team of workers. Upon identifying what he believed to be the entrance to the Serapeum, Marriott realized that human labor alone wouldn't suffice. He was confronted with an impassable rock wall that couldn't be manually cleared. In a moment of ingenuity, the resourceful Frenchman concluded that a controlled explosion was the solution.
While it may seem hazardous and not align with the rigorous standards of contemporary archaeology, it's important to remember that this was the mid-19th century, and the field of archaeology in Egypt was fiercely competitive. Consequently, in 1850, Marriott found himself at the entrance of Saqqara's Serapeum, having taken the unconventional route to access this rare and ancient site. On November 12th, Marriott ventured into the tunnel that had been excavated into the mountain. Marriott had a stroke of luck when the mummified remains of Pharaoh Khem were found in the coffin, miraculously undamaged. The pharaoh was adorned with gold jewelry and a mask, and those peculiar stone boxes were among the valuable burial items. The greater vaults formed the main corridor and chambers of the Serapeum, while the lesser vaults comprised a secondary tunnel with alcoves, and both were meticulously carved from the solid bedrock of the sandstone.
The boxes were discovered in the lesser vaults in adjoining chambers that extended for nearly 1,100 feet. Kem had overseen the construction of these burial chambers and their contents. The pharaoh, Kem, was still a prince when his father, Raphael Septic I, commissioned the construction of the larger vaults. These vaults had retractable lids, each weighing between 60 to 80 tons, and were hewn from granite slabs. The lids, each weighing 30 tons, fit with remarkable precision onto the stones below. Since Marriott's massive sarcophagus was found empty, a study of the religious beliefs and practices of the time suggested that these vaults served as ceremonial coffins. These vaults were closely associated with the worship of sacred bulls. Bulls were considered to be the reincarnations of the gods, Apis and Ptah. After their death, they were believed to achieve eternity by merging with Osiris and Serapis.
As a result, the Serapeum at Saqqara might have been a burial place not just for humans, but also for these revered animals. When the Greeks ruled Egypt as the Ptolemaic monarchy, the Serapis cult survived in the 3rd century BC. Pharaoh Ptolemy's Soter ordered Egyptians and Greek conquerors to worship Serapis to unite them. French explorer Antoine Geigel explains Peebles the bull had to be black and white, with a white triangle mark on its forehead. It was a bull predestined for the job, with wings on its back, a crescent moon on its side, a scarab-shaped mark behind its tongue, and a tail with long hair separated in two. Only one sacred bull was worshipped at a time. Priests determined God's will by observing animals in epistle. Bull was ceremoniously mummified and taken from Memphis to Saqqara. For intimate, the Egyptians revered these bulls after one of them died. There was a countrywide day of mourning, and then the hunt for a replacement bull with the correct physical traits would begin with priests.
Antoine Geigel, who explored the tombs and examined the stone boxes at the site, raises some perplexing points. Geigel found the boxes to be too large to contain mummified bodies. He also noted that Marriott only encountered empty boxes and personally verified their lack of contents, suggesting that no one had ever come across mummified bull remains in these supposed sarcophagi. Geigel contends that these boxes were never intended to house sacred animals. While Marriott did discover mummified bulls at the Saqqara site, they were found in small wooden coffins. It's also intriguing to ponder how these sarcophagi, given their incredible size, were transported through the narrow underground passageways where cranes couldn't operate. Although Geigel doesn't offer an alternative theory regarding the purpose of these granite boxes, others have stepped in to do so.
Konstantin Borisov, for instance, aligns with Geigel's view that the boxes were too large for bulls and questions why no mummified animals were ever found inside them. Intriguingly, Borisov speculates that these enigmatic granite boxes could potentially have served as giant electrical batteries. That concludes our discussion for today. What are your thoughts on this remarkable discovery? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to show your support by like us, subscribe, and hitting the bell icon for regular updates. Thank you for being a part of our journey.